This is relatable. Hello, landing crew. Hi. Can you say mama for them? No? Okay. So this is gonna be Liam's 2-year update. He's 2 now. If you are new, Liam is our 5th child. He was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder at 18 months old, so that was 6 months ago. So this is 6 months after his diagnosis. This isn't going to be like a science video or anything like that. I figure it would be better to wait till he's a little bit further into being 2, like 2.5. Basically, we are going to talk about him. We're just going to talk about how he's doing. It's just going to be a regular update. It's not all going to be about autism, but it's going to be a lot about his traits and where he's at. We'll go over where a 2-year-old should be at and kind of things he does or doesn't do. And then at the very end, we will go over questions that you guys have. Hi, Liam. Hi. Yeah. Say mama. Huh? He's been jumping all day. Have you been jumping all day? He does not want to be on the camera. Okay. All right. We will let you go downstairs and play, okay? Liam is 27 pounds, so he's only like 5 pounds more than Penelope. He's actually tinier than my other kids. Noah and Liam are just my smaller kids. They aren't smaller compared to other kids. They're probably average or a little bit above average, but all my other kids were just a lot bigger, a lot taller. I'll be posting a video before this that's going to be called Talking and Echolalia. So if you're kind of confused as to like what makes a child like nonverbal, verbal, functioning words and all of that, go to that video. It might explain a little bit more, but he is considered to the therapist nonverbal, but by the technical definition, I feel like he's pre-verbal. But regardless, he has no functional words. He doesn't say a word, know its meaning, and use it in the right context. So he just walks around saying no, oh no, uh-oh. I guess uh-oh is the one that he'll say like if he falls down, but then he'll also go up to hit people now and say uh-oh. I don't think he fully understands it. He is walking a lot better now. His first steps was at 14 months, but he actually didn't like start walking independently until around 17 months. So his progression was a lot slower and he was still crawling a lot of the time. He still crawls about 10 to 15% of the time, not a whole lot. I think when he's crawling, it's more of a sensory thing because he's usually crawling on the rug or something. If you've been following us a while, some of these things you're already gonna know, but I feel like this would be a good update for Liam. So when Liam was about 20 months old, we put him in ABA for about 2 months. It didn't work out. He regressed. It stressed him out. We took him out of ABA and now he is progressing more than we could have ever hoped or imagined. Because when he first got that diagnosis, we did have a lot of hopes that he was going to progress so quickly, and then he didn't. And it was really disappointing for us because I think we got our hopes up. And so I think we just kind of started to expect that Liam was going to progress at Liam's rate, and his rate has sped up a whole lot, and it's really exciting for us. He responds to his name about half the time now, so that is amazing. Before, he would hardly ever respond to his name, and when he did respond to his name, we weren't sure if it was like he was just responding to a sound of our voice or if it was the actual name. Another big thing for Liam is he is interacting with Penelope. He loves Penelope. Penelope loves him. He does think it's funny to take away her pacifier, but he's engaging and interacting. We did take him out of the ABA therapy. He is in occupational therapy twice a week, physical therapy twice a week, and also Early Steps, which is Florida's early intervention program. When he first started OT with the current therapist we had, and she would blow bubbles, he would get excited. He liked them, but he wouldn't try popping them. Now he chases them around the room and tries popping them. He's been doing echolalia since he was about 18 months old. Now he's doing it a lot more and he's saying a lot more words, so we know he's physically able to talk. So I do think that he will be verbal. I guess kind of the question mark for us is, will his echolalia, will it be functional or not functional? Because right now it's not functional. He just goes around the house saying the same thing over and over, but he has started to say mama again and dada, and something just feels different this time. I don't know, it just feels like there's more meaning behind it. I don't know. It's probably just me being hopeful. He eats everything. He is still fecal smearing and eating. Some have asked about that. Some have asked if it's pica. I said it right, Melissa. I said it right. Sorry, guys. I always say pica instead of pica. He's too young to be diagnosed with pica. It's not extremely abnormal for even a 2-year-old toddler to still, I guess, be eating their feces. I think the doctor said by age 3 if he's still doing it, and other behaviors like eating everything on the floor and things like that, which he does, then he would be diagnosed with pica. But it's really just a label. It really doesn't matter. The one thing that we're working on is getting him to realize when he needs that sensory output, and then we have that little that little teether we attach to his shirt, it has decreased the amount of times he's chewing on random stuff. I mean, not only is it like not sanitary, it's gross, it can be dangerous. Like earlier, he was trying to put a cord in his mouth. It's definitely something that you have to address. He is having some dangerous sensory seeking behavior beyond that. Like he'll jump off of things and then land on his butt because I guess he likes how it feels. I don't know. He has more sense of his surroundings now, but not really. Like he still just walks right into people and things like that, but it's getting better. He eats everything though. He's a great eater. We haven't found one food that he doesn't like. We are still struggling with him being able to feed himself with a spoon and fork. It's still something we're working on hand over hand. He is catching on to sign language a little bit better. We've been consistently just doing all done, the more, and then the eating one. He's done each of those once or twice, which is a really big deal to us. For us, it just means that he's engaging and being able to learn what we're doing a little bit better than before, because before he wouldn't look at what we were doing, he wouldn't look at us, he was just off in his own world. Therapists would come over and they would be sitting in the middle of the playroom and he would just walk around them the entire time like they weren't there. They were having to go above and beyond every session just to get like 10 minutes with him. The amount of progress that he has made is outstanding, and I'm only sharing this because sometimes we wonder, is early intervention worth it? Like, should I do this with my child? And I think every child has a different magic formula. Liam has always been a sweet, happy, just content baby. He just is good with everything and anything. A lot of hours was just too much for him. He was only in 10 hours of ABA a week, but combined with the OT and the early steps, it just was too much for him. So for Liam, he's getting 6 hours a week right now, and that seems to be his magic number. We will increase it, of course, when speech comes up, just because speech is really important. I think for a while, until he's a little bit older, I think 10 hours is probably going to be our max, and just do a lot of play therapy and just work with him a lot. We work a lot with Liam, a lot. That's one thing that we enjoy. All of the therapies are in our home, so we can not only see how our children are being treated and that we agree with the methods they're doing, but we can also learn what they're doing to do those while they are gone. He is diagnosed with hypotonia, which is low muscle tone, and it's mainly in his core and then his mouth, neck area. He can walk up the stairs, the slide and slide down. He gets on the little roller coaster we bought him for Christmas by himself. When he needs to jump, he knows to go over to his trampoline and jump. Before, we had to like physically take him over there, and so he's picking up on a lot more things. He does know when we say no. That's probably the only receptive language I guess we have with him. His receptive language is still really low. He only understands 2 words that we say, and it's up and no. Up, I don't know if he knows that the word up or if he just knows that this means up, because I can just go like this and not say anything and he comes to me, or he lifts up his arms for me to pick him up. He definitely knows the words no, as I was talking about. By this age with Lex, I could tell Lex, pick up your diaper, go throw it away in the kitchen, and he knew exactly what he was supposed to do. So his receptive language was a lot higher. Liam doesn't come show us anything, but what I did want to do is go on and kind of go over what a 2-year-old should be doing. I know a lot of you parents watch this if you are kind of worried, like, is my child showing these signs? This isn't a signs video, but I understand. Like, I understand that there are going to be parents watching this that are looking for what an autistic 2-year-old would do. I will say, just because your child does a few things that Liam does doesn't mean they have autism. Just because they may not do everything Liam does doesn't mean they don't. Every child is different, and there are certain things that Liam is great with. Supposedly an autistic individual isn't supposed to be good with imitating. Liam is like a pro on imitating. He knows if you sing the Happy and You Know It song, he does the whole thing. He does the clapping, he does the stomping of the foot, and then he'll do the turning around. He knows the ring around a rosy. He knows to turn, and then he knows to sit down. He doesn't realize at what part to sit down, but he still does it. So a lot of his imitating is really, really good, which is kind of abnormal for a child on the spectrum. So every child is different. So don't take this as Liam is like the representative of all autistic kids, because he definitely is not. Social and emotional. So copies others, especially adults and older children, gets excited with other children, shows more and more independence, shows defiant behavior, doing what he has been told not to, plays mainly beside other children, but is beginning to include other children, such as in chase games. Liam has the copying other thing. He doesn't get excited when he sees other kids. Like, he doesn't realize that other kids are supposed to be there to like play with him. Liam gets more excited when he sees adults. Like when his therapists come over. He really, really loves adults. They're showing more and more independence. I feel like Liam is showing more independence, but not equivalent to what a 2-year-old should do. He does show defiant behavior, but then he doesn't, because like if we tell him no, he either starts crying or he starts laughing. He doesn't do like chasing games. He will do parallel play, which is normal at 2. That's what a 2-year-old kind of should be doing. But a 2-year-old should also be engaging in play at the same time. Like you see a kid over there and kind of go to see what they're doing. Liam doesn't do that. The reason Liam was diagnosed with moderate to severe autism instead of just severe autism is because of the fact that he has a lot of social and emotional skills. He has like gazing eye contact. It's not like non-existent, but it's not good either, if that makes sense. Because he comes across so social and giggly and happy, he does come across as really engaging and interacting. The next category is language and communication. So points to things or pictures when they are named, knows names of familiar people and body parts, says sentences with 2 to 4 words, follows simple instructions, repeats words overheard in conversation, and points to things in a book. It's been a while since I've had a typical 2-year-old, but do 2-year-olds speak in 2 to 4 word sentences? So Liam does not point to things. He can physically point, but he doesn't use it as a means for communicating. So he doesn't point at things that he wants. He'll just randomly just have his pointy finger out. He definitely has more verbal outbursts now, crying outbursts, screaming outbursts. He's starting to show of getting angry because he's not being able to express himself. The older you get and not being able to communicate with what you need, it can be really frustrating for them. He does not know names of familiar people or body parts. For a while, if you asked him, "Where is your nose?" he would point and say no, but he doesn't do that anymore. He still doesn't follow point. That was one I forgot to include on both videos. Both videos, I meant to show it, I meant to talk about it, and I didn't do it either. But the follow pointing, he's always just not did that. Like if I go, "Liam, look," and point that way, sometimes he might look at my finger, but that's it. And that's like half the time. He does not follow simple instructions. You can't tell him to go sit down or anything like that and him understand. Cognitive, learning, thinking, problem solving. This is the one that Liam is the most behind in, but it's find things even when hidden under 2 or 3 covers, begins to short shapes and colors, complete sentences and rhymes in familiar books, plays simple make-believe games, builds tower of 4 or more blocks, might use one hand more than the other, follows 2-step instructions such as pick up your shoes and put them in the closet, names items in a picture book such as a cat, bird, or a dog. So Liam does none of those, like none at all. If he wants my phone and I don't want him to have it, I can put it behind my back and he starts looking under my legs. He understands the concept that I'm hiding it from him. He just doesn't understand of where I just moved it. But everything else he does not do. He can build a tower of 3 blocks, I think now, maybe possibly 4. So that might be one that he might be able to get, but everything else is a no-go. Okay, so the next one is movement, physical development, stands on tiptoe, kicks a ball, begins to run, climb onto and down from furniture without help, walks up and down stairs holding on, throws ball overhand, makes or copies straight lines and circles. He does stand on his tippy toes. He is trying to kick a ball. He's just not quite there. He's understanding that it means he needs to move his leg, but he doesn't understand the coordination or the power behind the kick. His run is actually starting to look like a 2-year-old run. I feel like he's made the most progress with his muscle tone. I mean, he was able to climb that slide. He's able to run now. Now, granted, the couch is pretty low, but he can get on it and off by himself. He cannot get on the bed by himself. Our bed is a little bit too high for him. He crawls up the stairs, but he doesn't like walk or hold on to something while he's walking or anything like that. He does not throw the ball overhand. It's not even throw, it's like a letting go. And no, he does not make or copy straight lines and circles. So these are the signs that the CDC says if your child does these things to talk to their doctor. And also know that in most states you do not have to have a referral to contact your early intervention program in your state. Like in Florida, it's early steps. You just contact them and say, "Hey, I want my child evaluated." And that way, while you're on the waiting list or trying to get the doctor to do everything, you can at least start that process and again start that early intervention. So it's if they don't use 2-word phrases, for example, drink milk. If they don't know what to do with common things like a brush, phone, fork, or spoon, Liam holds on to his fork and spoon while he finger feeds himself. He doesn't understand the concept of a phone, like that you use it to talk, but he does understand the concept of a brush, which is really cool. But but he's understood that concept since he was like 18, 19 months old. Doesn't copy actions or words, doesn't follow simple instructions, doesn't walk steadily, loses skills she once had. Let's get to the community questions. Sounds like Fireball asked, what are some of Liam's favorite activities? Liam enjoys jumping on the trampoline the most, or he enjoys being on the Thomas the Train little roller coaster thing. I got him. Leanne C asked, does Liam have any fixed interests or obsessions? My son was diagnosed at 3 and didn't seem to have anything major apart from playing with the same toys. He's now 9 and Roblox has taken over his life. This is relatable. Yeah, so Liam does. Liam's only 2, so there's not a lot. He still loves remotes, phones, and cords. Like, those are his things. We got him a remote and a stocking stuffer for Christmas, and I feel a lot of times he wants to play with that opposed to everything else. Every now and then Liam will like go over and like build blocks and stuff, but as far as things he's obsessed with, those are definitely it. But I relate with you, girl, on the Roblox because that is totally Noah. Kayla Owens asked, hello, is he easier than Lex and Noah, or harder? If so, why? Liam, even though he's our moderate to severe kiddo, he is super easy. The hardest part is him sleeping. That's just so hard. And also, of course, we have to make sure that he can't have access to his diaper, and that creates a lot of tricky things that we have to be kind of creative in our solutions the older he gets. But he's a pretty easy and content kid. Every therapist loves him. I mean, he's just happy and giggly all the time. We will be walking in and he is just laughing at himself, or we'll wake up and he's just staring and laughing at us. I don't know how much easier he'll be in a couple years, but right now he's honestly just a joy to have. Lindsay Bray Boy asked, what new words is he saying? I loved when you showed him shushing. Absolutely adorable. As I said, he's not really having functional words, so there's like no new words. Currently, the newest thing is oh no, as you guys saw in the other vlog. Oh no. He's starting to randomly just imitate what we say and never say it again. Like the lay down thing. He just imitated and said lay down and he never said it again. What is new though is his conversation babbling. Before he would just randomly babble, but now when he's babbling, it sounds like he's talking in his own language, which is freaking adorable. So I feel like that's new and that's progression, and that makes me more excited than when he says random words from Ekalela, because I feel like that is a crucial part of being a verbal kid. Like you've got to be able to have that conversation piece. Dacia Squad asked, does he climb out of his crib? No, and he doesn't even try. Like, he doesn't even try to lift up his leg or anything like that. He likes his crib to jump in. One other question that may be in here, I don't know, but it's been asked a couple times, is when will we transition him out of the crib? And we will transition him out of the crib when he starts trying to climb out of it. For right now, we are not going to be like, oh, let's get him in a toddler bed. What we're doing right now works just fine. We just aren't going to go around fixing things that aren't broken. Lynn L asked, what was the first signs you noticed that Liam was autistic? Around like 14 months old, he started eating his poop. I've had a couple kids that played in it before, like Lex loved playing in his poop, but it was more of a boredom thing. Liam does it just walking around. Like it's not like he's bored or trying to get attention or anything like that. I think at that point I was like, that doesn't seem like a very typical thing. And then his head stem, he like shakes his head as a stem like this a lot. And that was another thing that really made me think that he was on the spectrum. I didn't realize that he was more on the severe side of the spectrum. That I wasn't expecting. I think deep down I knew eventually we were going to get a diagnosis. I just didn't expect it to be so quickly. Lynn L also asked, I know you said Liam doesn't speak yet, so how does he communicate with you to let you know, for example, if he's not feeling good? He cries, he screams. It's how we realized that something was going on with the dairy, is because we realized the days that he would accidentally get dairy, he would go through these screaming fits. He also has night terrors, so it gets kind of overlapping to try to figure out, okay, is he just being cranky? Is he having night terrors, or did he have dairy accidentally? What exactly is going on? He really doesn't have a way to communicate with us when he doesn't feel good. He doesn't have a way to communicate with us when he's hungry, thirsty, anything. We are basically doing guesswork with him. Ethan Sattler asked, does Liam have a favorite or preferred sibling? Liam definitely seems to prefer Noah. His face lights up the most when he sees Noah. Jody Stevenson asked, what do you feel helped him the most since diagnosis? I would have to say OT. OT has definitely helped the most. Our newest OT person. We had an OT that we tried in Jacksonville that didn't work out. We had an OT when we moved here. year. That did not work out. But our newest OT, she's actually new. Like, she just graduated in May. I love her so much. She's a great fit to our family. She understands autism so much. The first day she walked in, she started pointing out like tons of things that were autistic traits, sensory traits, things that I didn't even realize he was doing or that was an autism thing. She's also okay with letting him just do his thing. Like, when she would come in and he would just walk around and completely ignore her, she would let him do that. She would let him basically guide the sessions the first like month or two. She would wait for him to come over to her, and then when he would, she'd make a big deal about it. And I feel like that's why Liam prefers her so much. Holly Olmstead said, from what I can see from the last video he was in, he has learned a ton. What is one thing he has learned that you like the most? Him imitating the "If You're Happy and You Know It" song. I don't know, that takes cognitive level, and that's a really big deal. The Morales Familia said, or asked, will you try ABA again with him once he is older? I decided not to do ABA with my 21-month-old after going through the whole process of getting started. I can relate. It just seems like 40 hours was way too much. Also, did Noah ever do ABA, and does Liam remind you more of Noah as a toddler? Lots of questions. Will I do ABA? I don't want to say no, I never will, because I may, but I don't see it being something in his near future. I don't see anything that I personally would want to do ABA with. ABA therapy just doesn't sit well with me. I know I'm probably not supposed to say that, but me personally, it doesn't sit well. And I understand people are like, well, kids have to go to school all day even though they don't like it, or kids have to do this even though they don't like it. It's not that Liam doesn't like it, but if it is having such an adverse reaction on him that he is regressing, he's stressed out, that's not okay with me. The fact that he's no longer in ABA now, he's only in 6 hours of therapy a week. There are sometimes OT does things that he doesn't want to do. She will push him a little bit, but she knows when to stop. He's still progressing. He's still happy. His personality is flourishing. He is flourishing. Sometimes as a parent, we have to do what's best for our child, even if it's not the most popular decision. I know a lot of parents and families love ABA. They push ABA. They do 40 hours, 30 hours, how many hours they want to do. And that's fine. I'm not shaming anyone. I'm not judging anyone. That works for them, works for their family, works for the kid, and that's great. But for us, I just can't get past that pit in my stomach. Noah did ABA for I think 6 weeks, or it was 12 weeks. Regardless, it was literally 1 hour a week. I would take him to the children's hospital. It was before ABA became a thing. So he never really has done ABA in that sense. I guess that's kind of why it's hard on me, is because I feel like after learning positive reinforcement and things that OT does, I'm like, oh, we always did these things with Noah just because it worked. It worked for him. So I think Noah is kind of proof your child can still be their best self without putting them through 40 to 50 hours of therapy a week. Does Liam remind me of Noah as a toddler? Yes and no. Liam is a lot more happier. Like, it's hard for me to remember Noah at 2. Because like, I'll probably remember specific things about Liam now because I'm looking for them, right? But for Noah, I didn't realize anything was going on with Noah till he was 3. Ooh, one of our channel members, Dark Shadow, asked, what do you think has changed the most in Liam since before he was diagnosed? I feel like it's his engagement. I feel like his engagement has changed the most, and his gross motor skills. Cheyenne asked, what signs do you see in Liam that Noah had when he was Liam's age? I think just being behind in their gross and fine motor skills would probably be one. I remember Noah was kind of a picky eater, and I do remember we were having to feed Noah, like literally like me spoon feed him and fork feed him until he was like almost 3. Noah was a lot more advanced on talking by this time than Liam is. Like at this time, Noah had, I want to say like 8 functional words. Jessica Amy asked, what size is he wearing? He is in 2T. He'll probably be in 2T for a while. He's definitely a slow grower. Davina asked, what's the cutest thing Liam does? I would say the cutest thing that Liam does is just how when you're talking to him, he does this goofy little like laugh smiling thing. It's so adorable. And I love when he's trying to talk and stuff because he'll be like, no. That's so cute. Olivia asks, how is he with communicating? I notice he is, although nonverbal, he seems to be babbling more than Lex did. So yes, this is the huge difference between Lex and Liam. By this point, Lex had 4 functional words, but he wasn't a babbler. Lex was never a babbler. He just started talking one day. Like every now and then he might say a babbled word or 2, but Liam is a big babbler. So that is the difference. Lex also understood more nonverbal communication, and he gave more nonverbal communication. Lex picked up on sign language very, very easily. Like, it wasn't a thing. It's why we never really worried about Lex being nonverbal, because his receptive language and expressive language was so high. Brittany Stafford asks, how does little Liam react in playgroups? What are some easy eats for him? What do you do that easiest soothes meltdowns with discipline? He's such a cutie pie. Liam doesn't really do anything that I feel requires discipline. He is starting to hit and he thinks it's funny. So we're working on ignoring the behavior and just like not having eye contact, just pushing his hand away. And then when he comes up and wants to be sweet and funny again, then we give him attention. So kind of positive reinforcement, nothing really with discipline. And he really doesn't have too bad of meltdowns. I mean, I don't know, like, he's 2, so sometimes I feel like him crying for hours and hours isn't exactly a meltdown. He's just really upset. The easiest eats for him, anything that's finger foods is pretty easy for him. As far as playgroups, like when we go to the park and things like that, he doesn't interact with the other kids. Like, he doesn't go up and initiate play or anything. If someone comes and plays with him, he doesn't really play back. He just kind of walks away. The only way Lex really gets to play with him is if they're just happen to do the same thing at the same time. So Liam is building blocks and Lex comes up and starts building blocks. And so it kind of looks like they're playing, because every now and then Liam will take a block away from Lex and Lex will take a block away from Liam, but it isn't really like interactive playing like you would think. Okay, so those are all of the questions on community. I didn't have a chance to leave these on Instagram for too long. Animal Lover 1978 said, have you tried teaching him sign language? Yes, we are teaching him sign language, but we're trying to keep it to the minimum right now for him to master those words, then move on to something else. Amari asks, it's not a question about Liam, but I'm curious, do you guys still have your cat? So we get this question from time to time, and no, we did rehome our cat to our neighbor next door. She has a bunch of little girls that loves her to death, and Danielle can go over there and play with her. It had nothing to do with Noah, had nothing to do with Lex. The cat wasn't being tortured or anything like that. It's just of the matter of fact that I got Danielle a cat because she was 15 and I figured she could take care of a cat, because when she was 12 she took care of a cat just fine. However, it wasn't working out on the caretaking front, so we decided to rehome her to someone who could be a little bit more efficient in it, as right now Lonnie and I taking care of an animal is not something that we can put on our plate, and it's not something that we would have signed up for had we known. That's why we haven't got Noah a dog, because we know that we're going to have to help Noah take care of that dog, and that's not something that we can put on our plate right now. I think it's important as a parent, as a large family especially, but no matter how many kids you have, to know your limits and to know when you are reaching over it or you're about to, or that would put you over it. We will not be getting any animals at all until we buy a house. By that time, the kids will be older, and I'm hoping our stress level will be lower. Aliana Loves Gorillas 1 asks, does Liam have ADHD? I know I just did a video where it says, when you have a child with ADHD, you just know. I think it's too young for Liam. With Lex, I knew by age 2. Like, it wasn't a big surprise or anything like that. Liam isn't overly hyperactive, but neither was Danielle, and she had ADHD. It's just too early to really know. Stars95 said, has OT been working? And if so, where can you see the difference? So I see the most difference with him interacting. Like, he'll wave hi and do the bye thing now. So I guess that's considered sign language, right? He's also wanting to build more blocks. I see more interest in different types of toys. She really reinforces for him to get safe sensory outputs. Like, she started to see that he would jump off the trampoline, and so she's like, okay, we really need to work on that. Mary Quinn 12 asks, are you still planning on moving to a different state? Yep. We've been avoiding the moving question for a variety of reasons, but everyone will know where and when we're moving when it happens. We're not going to stay in Florida forever, so you guys will all get to know at the same time. Sweet Sarah asked, would you consider getting him an Angel Sense device? Yes, definitely. It really scares me with him, like, more so than Lex. Like, Lex will run out intentionally and then run down the street intentionally, but Lex will like run on the sidewalk usually. Liam just kind of walks around aimlessly. It scares me. We still aren't 100% sure the path we're going to take with Liam with school, because I don't have to worry about that right now, but if he does end up going to like a public school or something like that, he will definitely be wearing an Angel Sense device every day. I know from now until then he could become verbal, but it definitely scares me to think about putting a child who doesn't have any words to really tell me what's going on or communicate with me in some way into a public school system. Katie asked, was he ever a toe walker? Yes, and he still does sometimes. Thank you guys for watching this video. Penelope's 1 year is coming up very shortly. She'll be 1 on the 28th. So I will do a similar video, nothing about autism, but I will kind of take like the signs of what she is supposed to be doing and talk about what she is doing, because I know that's a big question too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We will see you tomorrow. We'll see you on Monday.
Where you move make me blind. You will always be there. There's no doubt in my mind. You will always be there. Heading out to see ya and leave the rest behind.